What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back to take a look at this Lions-Jaguars preseason game, man. And today, we're going to be focusing on that quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, his debut with the Detroit Lions. Now, unfortunately, we don't get all 22 for preseason games, so there are certain things that I just cannot see, so I'm going to do my best here.
Guys, so I just realized, because I was looking for some clips here, they released the All-22 of this game. Oh, snap. This is a game changer. Now, I don't know when they put this out. I'm seeing this today. It is Wednesday. We play Friday. So look forward to potentially getting another video in some sort. I don't know how. Maybe it's a lot. I don't know. I probably won't be able to get through the full thing like I want to because I'm just finding this out. Preseason didn't used to do this. But what I'm going to do, because I just realized they're putting the All-22 out, is I'm going to overlay every play that I show in this video, because I still want to get this video out there, with the All-22 version of it. And if there's other things I want to add, I'll add points to it. But I still want to do this video, and a lot of things that I said were pretty accurate based on what I was able to see. So I'm just going to show the other play as well as the kind of broadcast view. But this is a game changer. I'm excited for this.
Point out some things that stuck out to me from rewatching Teddy Bridgewater in this game, taking some notes. We're also not going to show every play that Bridgewater was in the game. For example, I didn't include handoffs or, like, the fumble on a handoff attempt that was just like we didn't block the guy. So, we had a fumble on that play. So I didn't put everything in here. For example, false starts, right? I just did not put every play in here to save some time. So I have like 9 plays that specifically I wanted to showcase in this video. Some were good. Maybe some weren't so good. Some of the plays don't have maybe a ton to take a look at. We know that it's preseason, so you're getting a little bit more vanilla looks just in general. But he wasn't here that long, and this was his first game as a Lion, and there was definitely some good to take away from this. Even though as a whole it didn't go really that well, we didn't score offensively. There was a lot of things that went wrong outside of Teddy Bridgewater in this game. If there's one thing, he made a couple sacks miss. I mean, that's a positive. Like the first play of the game, when Kayvon Chasen just comes off the edge and just attacks your quarterback, and he's able to make that guy miss. That's a positive. I didn't show it, but it is a positive, I guess, and the gloves, like the ability to switch hands, you saw that, like he had good control of the football because of the gloves. So, there's a positive there, but we're going to focus on plays that I actually think there's something that I can really point out here for Bridgewater. Again, some good, some bad, but just some of the key things that stuck out to me in this first game. I know I said in the last video, like I actually had him slightly trending up. Like I felt like I saw really what I wanted to see from Teddy Bridgewater. Would love to see him again this next week to see what it looks like with another week with the Detroit Lions. I think there could be a much better rhythm, hopefully, that they can get into with some success as a whole as an offense. They can hopefully move the football a little bit. What I was kind of just looking for, decision making, really, that's the main thing, and that short of time being with the Lions, I thought he showed that. Now, there were some maybe passes that were just a little bit inaccurate. I don't think anything was terrible outside of the 3rd and 4 miss to Brock Wright, but, there could have been like, maybe if you put it a little bit further on the play or, something like that. So, anyways, we'll get right into it. Let's take a look. I got some plays, and let's dive right into it. I'll try to set the situation so you guys can understand, like, what the situation was on each play. So, the first one that we have is a 2nd and 19. So, yes, this first drive went horribly wrong right away because of the sack off the edge. Unblocked Kayvon Chasen, who just immediately darted for the quarterback. We tried a boot play. There was a sack. And then we came back with this play on 2nd and 19. Now, this isn't like a big chunk, but it was his first completion. And again, I just want to point out some little things that stuck out to me because there were some overarching key notes. And I'm going to hit on these right away, and then I'll kind of showcase them as we watch this and what I'm thinking here. So the biggest things for me, the things that I liked from watching Bridgewater, biggest things. First thing, pre-snap recognition, being aware of the look that the defense was giving him. Now, again, the Jaguars did disguise some things in this game. The main disguise really was like bluffing blitz. That was mainly the disguise that they would utilize, as they would put guys across lines of scrimmage and they would drop out. That was the main disguise that we saw in this game. Outside of that, I didn't see a ton of like rolling coverage, like inverted coverage, thing like that. Again, I can't see the entire field, but I didn't see a ton of those things. But pre-snap recognition, what is the defense showing pre-snap, and then attacking that. I thought that looked really good. And you honestly saw some really big time confidence. Like there was sort of a no look. I know we always get like caught up in those. I always get caught up in those. My bad. But you saw like real confidence with some of the pre-snap recognition. And then also I thought the fact that he was able to really stay on schedule. And that was with pressure. He could feel the pressure, keeping his eyes downfield. You could say staying within the progressions. Like things didn't get messy for him. He was able to continue working through progressions. Now, maybe there were some examples where I was like, man, if that was sped up just a little bit more, maybe that does get sped up a little bit more with more time here. But in terms of like fighting to stay on schedule, like staying through, going through his progressions, that was kind kind of that was really an impressive part in this game, especially when you talk about the poise when he felt a lot of pressure in this game. Now, again, we'll talk about like some of the timing things that could have been like a tad off. There were some passes that weren't like the perfect, most accurate throws. So we'll look at all those things. But this first one, yeah, 2nd and 19. We're going to get a Tampa 2 look here defensively. So I'll let it play. Actually, I'm going to pause it, but I'm going to show you guys. So we're getting a Tampa 2 look here. You can see the middle linebacker on this play. He's going to drop. He's going to take the seam away. Here's one thing that stuck out to me on multiple different plays, and you see it right here on this first completion, is again, like I just touched on, staying like disciplined to go through his progression, ability to keep his eyes downfield, and you can really see him working through those and reading defenders. Like, that was a huge part, and that's really one of the main things that I wanted to see, especially in this short amount of time, because I feel like when you put Bridgewater in there, you're not always going to get like the best deep throws or even intermediate passes, right? He doesn't have a rifle of an arm. He may not be the best escapability of a quarterback, though it's good. You're looking at that decision making, right? Not throwing the ball into harm's way, being able to roll through progressions, right? Keep you on schedule. That was the big thing I wrote down. The ability to fight to stay on schedule was huge. And this very first play, you kind of get a sense of that. So they go Tampa 2, which means this linebacker is going to drop. He's going to cover up the seam. Now you're going to get right here in the slot, you're going to get a dig route from Dylan Drummond. Now this linebacker, that may be Chad Muma actually on this play, he's going to take away that dig route eventually because the route's going to be ran into that. Then here you have a little underneath route that's ran, and then a swing route, which is ultimately where the ball is going to go. But I love watching his eyes, Bridgewater's eyes, and seeing where he's looking. So because this linebacker is dropping into the seam, this linebacker stays a little bit more shallow in kind of that hook curl area, so you see him sitting there on that. You can see Teddy Bridgewater kind of reading the outside on this play, and what you're going to see is, again, they're kind of in that zone coverage look. So when that breaks inside, this underneath zone coverage linebacker stays down. So he's going to cut this off. This route's not going to be there, right? So he stays down. So you can see Teddy Bridgewater utilizing his eyes, working through that, staying calm, and then ultimately finding his check down. This was honestly one of the more impressive throws. I know it was nothing crazy, but it was pretty accurate. Like, to throw it like this, found his man, put it on a good spot there, a little swing route, didn't throw it behind Craig Reynolds, allowed him catch and run opportunity. You can see from the All-22 version here is that he seemingly is reading through that slot cornerback once again here. And as that cornerback lets the dig route get behind him, he decides to break off into the middle field where he sees the seam route covered. He seemingly was trying to open up the little underneath route, but the cornerback did not follow vertically or get depth. So then as he came back to the seam, that was taken away. He saw Chad Muma basically just sitting there middle of the field. You see that this backside curl route did open up, but on this play, that cornerback continues to get depth when he's looking there. So he makes that decision to just fire it, be decisive, throw it underneath, give him more room to try to make something happen after the catch. Maybe he could have looked to the flat and tried to hit this curl route, but he stayed on time with a little bit of an internal clock seeming. So, again, not a very flashy play, but it was like he set the tone early in terms of how he was going to be able to play the game. One is probably the biggest miss. This was a 3rd and 4. But, again, watch the eyes here of Teddy Bridgewater. That's what stands out to me. So, we're going to see it here on this left side. Now, what you're getting here, what kind of look we're getting a two-man look, okay? So, cover 2, you can see the 2 deeps. Well, you can't see this one, but there's 2 deep safeties. They're manned up here in coverage. So, he gets seemingly a sense that that's the case. Again, now you get more vanilla looks, kind of in the preseason, so you may not get it like this. Every long situation felt like they would go 2 deep, but they did some cover 3, they matched some things up, so there were still different looks that he was getting. It wasn't all just like that, but even then you still get like looks like this in the regular season. It's not like teams don't play 2-man coverage, like teams do this. So this is the look that you get on 3rd and 4. Now here you have Brock Wright. I believe it's Brock Wright. He's working as a tight end here. He's going to run this little stick route, which is where the ball is going to go. Now the big thing here is that he has leverage on this linebacker, okay? But you can see Teddy Bridgewater seemingly reading again the slot corner on this play, because again, if he drops and he lets this seam route go past him, now you know that they're in zone coverage. So if he's going to throw this stick route, one, he's going to have to try to throw that into a window. So as he sees right here, you can see the cornerback turn and run vertical with Dylan Drummond. And as soon as he sees that, his eyes, you can see, drop right down here to the tight end on the linebacker. He gets the outside leverage, and that's where he decides to go with the football. Now, on this play, I thought maybe that there was a chance that this ball was tipped. I can't tell. I'm not going to say it is. I don't think it was. Turns out, getting this angle of it, you can see that the ball was tipped on this play. Now, I'm not sure if that's the reason that this was off, but it absolutely could be. You can see the defensive tackle get his hands on this football. That may be one thing, is sliding a little bit better into passing lanes potentially. Obviously, we weren't doing great in pass protection. Could be a little bit better. That could be a takeaway from this game for him, but it definitely was tipped. Watch him. He kind of sinks down right there to throw it for whatever reason. He kind of sunk down. I don't know if that's because he felt the pressure. Maybe that's just what he does. He kind of sunk down, though, a little bit on this pass, and he put it behind him. Again, if this was a zone coverage look, then, hey, that pass may have been fine because he could have sat there between the linebacker and the cornerback. But I believe that on this play, he read that the cornerback went vertical. So then at that point, you know that you have that to the outside. Completion here to Trinity Benson. And again, the decision making, pre-snap recognition. So we saw Goff do this. You see every quarterback do this. You get a single high safety look. In this case, they're going cover one. They're going to bring a blitz on the play. They're going to bring 5 rushers. So when you get that look, you get that single high safety. Now, I don't know where he's at. I can't see him. Maybe he's cheating over here, you know, to the short side of the field. Regardless, though, Teddy Bridgewater decides to look it off initially, but he made up the mind that he's going to take this shot. And again, staying on schedule, staying on time. What you notice with him is through these progressions, he seemingly had a really nice sense of like, okay, I need to get here now. If the ball's going to come out, it has to come out now. He had a pretty good sense of that. Now, there was maybe one play where I thought it was like a tick slow potentially, and we'll see that one. But just like that understanding is what you really wanted from Bridgewater. As you can see, he starts left, move that safety, and then again, he gets that cover one look, being able to recognize that pre-snap, and he takes the shot. Now, you could say that with the push kind of in his face here, maybe he's throwing this, you know, a little bit off the back foot a little bit, maybe not getting enough depth on this pass. Clearly, it was covered up really well. Trinity Benson just ran kind of a fade route here from the slot. It was covered really well. I could argue that maybe you put more on this ball, try to lead him into it a little bit more, but it was really just covered well. So I think you could argue that one was a little bit underthrown, but I think honestly it was just really good coverage by the defender here. This one was also incomplete. This was the pass to Chase Cota. I mean, it had an opportunity. I mean, we looked at this one and it was like, hey man, that could have been a catch. But this is the incomplete pass. Unfortunately, I cut it off pretty poorly here. Let me lock this in. Okay, so again, I can't really see the full field here. And again, you have to love the recognition here by Bridgewater. They're actually going to roll this into a cover 3, so that safety is going to buzz down, and that's why he's going to attack this outside cornerback against off coverage. You're talking about the situation, which was a 3rd and 9. The biggest thing that I point out here is at the bottom of the screen, you get an off coverage corner. He's playing behind the sticks to the far side of the field. That makes sense, so he can dive on it. So he's playing off coverage, and that's where Bridgewater decides that he wants to go with this football. Kind of the eyes, and you can see them right here. You can see him working through his progressions. You can see him looking here to the slot, staying on time here with Dylan Drummond. Now, he doesn't stay with it long, but I think just enough that it's seemingly that he went to this to look at that kind of through the seam read here to the slot, and then when he finally worked back to the outside, the pass came out on time. If you watch the drop on his play, his eyes are moving. Again, it kind of takes me back to some of that pre-snap recognition, yet the pass comes out on time. Now, again, you could say he led this maybe just a tad too far outside. Definitely had an opportunity to be caught. We thought that it may have been caught actually when we saw the replay, but he stays on schedule with his drop right here, hits that back foot, and he puts it out. And the big thing again is like he takes just enough attention to that slot receiver running vertical that defender who's in zone coverage underneath doesn't just jump that out route. So he stays disciplined with his eyes to work himself over there while also staying on schedule to give himself this window, because again, this underneath defender, if he's staring that down, he might just jump underneath this. And there you go, he's able to lay it out there. Again, you have the off coverage corner, so he puts that on time away from him. They called it out of bounds. You could argue it was just slightly too far out of bounds, that he kind of threw him just a little bit too far that way. But again, I just like the way that he continued to work through his reads. Speaking of that, we get another Tampa 2 look here from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now this time you can see that they're going to run a drag route here, or kind of like a crosser, I guess, with Brock Wright on the play, and then Craig Reynolds is going to leak out late, and he's going to run into the flat here, and that's where the ball is going to go again. So again, not like something flashy, but it was a nice chunk. They actually picked up a first down on this play. So sometimes it is about that, you know, staying patient, disciplined, not just like rushing yourself into throwing it where defenders can get into it, especially in zone. You have to stay with that patience, I feel like. And on this case, again, you're getting that Tampa 2 drop, so linebacker jumps again into the seam. You can see that here, and you can see with Teddy Bridgewater, who's watching this drag route, he sees that linebacker, you know, running towards the middle of the field, so that's going to be covered up, I'm assuming, on the play. And then you have the 2 deep on top of that. So you can see that he sticks with this discipline, though. Steps up in the pocket, feels the pressure. You can see his eyes stick here with Brock Wright, who's running this drag. Meanwhile, you get kind of that delayed leak out there by Craig Reynolds on the play, and you got to remember, there's 2 underneath defenders like we saw earlier, 1 and 2 here. So for him sticking with that, keeping his eyes there, then when he decides to come back down, you maybe create a little bit more space for Craig Reynolds. As you can also see from the All-22 version, without a flat threat, both outside corners are really sinking with their vertical routes on the outside. So looking to the drag makes sense, because if that does open up, they're going to have a lot of depth. When that just adds more to the fact that he was able to hold that linebacker for Craig Reynolds, because that cornerback is getting so deep, it creates even more space for Craig. I still have to talk about this year's sponsor for the football season. I'm very excited about this, and I really appreciate this opportunity. We have partnered with BetUS, man, and BetUS is a leading online betting platform that offers a wide range of sports betting and casino games. Now, BetUS has a reputation for the reliability, their security, and their excellent customer service, and there's a lot of ways to get in touch with them. And it's very easy to sign up. So all you have to do is click the top link in the description. They're hooking you up with some nice bonuses. So if you click that link top of the description, you can claim some nice bonuses. All you have to do is sign up. It's like 2 pages, very easy to sign up. Then you can claim your bonus. You can see there's multiple different bonus options. You make your deposit, and if you make a minimum $100 deposit, you can get a 125% match on that deposit. So they're hooking you up. BetUS has a lot of different ways to bet, so it's not just football. I mean, they hit on all the major sports: football, basketball, baseball, soccer. I mean, hey, if you're into soccer, there you go. Heck, they got esports on here, man. There's tons of different ways to do it, whether that's, game props, pre-game betting, whether that's over-unders, whether that's future bets, live betting as well, including parlays, so you can build out your ticket and do things that way. If you're a returning member, there are 5 currently re-up promotions. There are 6 listed currently sign-up promotions. Through BetUS, you become a loyal member to BetUS, and this leads to other perks, including free payouts, free monthly tournament entries, bigger bonuses. I want to shout out to BetUS. I'll have something very creative going forward for this, but for now, shout out to BetUS. Now, he decided to kind of like clutch it for a second before releasing this pass. He was almost kind of like in the way of the defense tackle was almost in the way right here before he could let that go. But he checks it down to him, gives him a little more space. Also, I think he wanted to make sure the back saw him, so he wasn't just throwing it out into his own hole. Craig ends up getting a first on that play. This next one, there's not a ton to it, I would say. Actually, originally I thought this was an RPO. Turns out it looks like it was just a design play action. I don't know if this is something that they made a call at the line. Could easily been that. Actually is something that's pretty slick with this play. The Detroit Lions motioned across their tight end on this play, and because of that, the safety rolls down, and the cornerback who's playing that off coverage where he's going to attack gets a little bit more depth, so it opens up that passing lane. On the flip side, you're going to see they have the screen, but he doesn't go that way. He goes to the spot where the motion actually opened up a little bit more route leverage. I love this little thing in here, and you see it a lot during the season more so, but you can see the recognition. It's like they're getting a cover 3 look, which we started to see. We saw that last year. They played a lot of single high safety. So cover 3 look. Now, one thing you'll also notice is that they would kind of match up on the opposite side sometimes. In this case, you get that cover 3 look, which means that this corner, he's sitting off coverage against kind of the slot alignment receiver on the right side. So you can see him sitting off coverage here. Boom. So you see the space that's created. And then with this play fake, you get this, this flat defender who basically dives underneath here. I believe that is the safety. Yeah, he's going to dive down on the play fake. But you can see the lineman sitting there, so, it's kind of a design. And then he's able to come back and hit this out route to Chase Cota. He picks up a first down on the play. You could argue that he was a tad late and maybe he could have got to it a little bit faster. Here's what I'm talking about. So you can see they're clearly showing blitz, right? You have, you had one that dropped out here. You had a ton of guys. Let me try to pause this. You can see that they're showing blitz pre-snap. This is a 3rd and 6 look. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, you had 8 guys. Now, obviously, they weren't going to bring all 8. Usually, you're not going to do that because there's no one literally on the slot. But they're going to drop out of it. They're actually going to still bring a blitz, so you have a 5-man rush here. But they're going to drop out into what looks like, again, kind of like a little bit of a cover 3 look here. And, on this backside, you have the one receiver. Looks like they kind of just match up with it here on the bottom of the play. But you're going to see kind of what looks like a cover 3 look somewhere. There's a deep safety out here. Now, we can't see what's happening from this angle, but it looks like there was probably some type of out route, I'm assuming, that was ran somewhere near the sticks here, because if you look at his body language, it looks like that's where he was trying to time up. Now, the big thing here is I think also it seemed like his drop was a little bit shortened, maybe because he felt the pressure, so he was trying to kind of hurry up the process a little bit, like right here. Now, the All-22 version definitely does this more justice. At the top of the screen, there is an out route that is ran here that he could have absolutely been trying to hit against his outside corner on this play. But at the same time, when you look at his drop being shortened seemingly on the play, it was seemingly to open up kind of this spot route over the middle of the field, understanding where the sticks are and that they're bringing 5 rushers on this play. Now, he may not have thrown this out route because he felt the heat off the backside and he didn't want to make that pass, but because he's looking that way and he throws this little pump fake in, you're going to see him actually open up this spot route over the middle of the field with that by moving the line. You could argue, if you thought his intentions were to hit this over the middle field route immediately, that he should have stepped up into the pocket because the guy is getting pushed into his face late. Doesn't seem like it would have been easy to, but maybe he should have done that just to try to really make sure that he get this pass off. But again, if you notice, he is reading seemingly through the slot defender here, and again, trying to hold him inside, where it's very possible that he was looking to go that direction, to the out route, hold the slot defender inside so I can fire this, but he felt the pressure off his backside, so he decided to step up with the pump fake, open the linebacker, and hit that pass, but the guy was in his face, so he couldn't completely step up. I can understand, seemingly, if there was an out route where he's looking here, because you can see he's kind of working through, seemingly looking at this underneath defender here on the left side of the field, and as he does that, as he goes and hitches and steps up to let this thing fire, you can see now his eyes drift to the outside, so as almost seemingly trying to hold that underneath defender on the left side of the field inside as much as he can right here. You can see this defender right here trying to hold him inside, and then he's gonna come out of his plant and he's gonna fire that thing to the outside, so he's trying to build that space. It's probably a really tight window pass that he was trying to hold, plant, and then fire that thing into a tight window. Again, I can't see it, but I'm assuming that's what the case was here. So when that's kind of thrown off with that arm and he's like, I don't want to put that in there, maybe that's what it was, maybe it just wasn't open. There's that potential as well. Then he steps up and he finds this zone hole. As you can see, he's grabbed from behind. You can see him getting pulled back, and that's what really seemingly causes this just slightly underthrown ball on this play. He's also hit in the chest, and I like that he's willing to stand in there and take that. You can see him kind of flinch a little bit, but he was also grabbed from the back, so there's that side of it too. It kind of times up with a running back leaking out of the backfield as well, because the opposite side underneath defender is not sliding over there with Craig Reynolds leaking out as well. But again, it allows him to get behind a linebacker. So in terms of timing, like we saw with the Craig Reynolds check down, it's all on time. Regardless, the decision making was fine on that play, and this is kind of that no look that you get. You got to show off the no looks. I mean, come on now. You get kind of that single high safety look, and again, look at his eye discipline on this play. So you get a 4-man rush, and you can see the Lions are stacking receivers on the bottom of the screen here. So you have the out route. Now this case, it was a this was a 2nd and 10. Okay, so they didn't need to get to the sticks here, but they stack up their receivers here. So you have an out route that's going to be ran underneath, and you have a vertical route here from the receiver on top. And as you're going to see on this play, with this cornerback, watch his eyes never leave here with this cornerback. Again, if he's just spot dropping, he would float kind of into where this out route's going to go, and then this vertical route could just be taken by the outside cornerback. But what we saw in this game is that they were willing to kind of match up and carry those routes, like we kind of saw when they ran like the little scissors concept and took the shot to Drummond. So they were willing to do something like that. So as you can see, and it probably led him to doing it as well. And again, with both of these receivers basically releasing or running their stem vertically on the play, they do match up on this play, because it's not like just one or the other where they can pass it off. Also on top of that, not only is Bridgewater's eyes potentially affecting the defender's decision to match it up, but also that off coverage, that kind of off man defender in this spot that's covering this out route is focused on Teddy Bridgewater's eyes. So he does stick back just a little bit because Bridgewater is staring down that vertical route in the inside. So he does create a little bit more space for this out route that they're working underneath. Now you have this off coverage, cover 3 type of corner, right, that's playing deep against an out route underneath. So you can see all the space that's created, and they don't need the sticks. So his eyes stay here, seemingly, and he's, look, his eyes are still here, and he's throwing the out route. That's why this pass got a little inaccurate, which you don't love that it got high on him, because he took a monster hit. Shout out to Drummond for catching that. But you could see the awareness, in terms of like, okay, I see what they're showing me pre-snap. I think I know what look I'm going to get here, so I'm going to stay here to open this up. And that's just the kind of thing that you get seemingly when a guy's comfortable. And the good thing is these are good decisions. It's not like, that was like, oh, he tried it, but it wasn't open. Like, it was a good decision. The ball just was not perfectly placed on this play. That's the biggest thing there. This is the play I unfortunately left out, so I'm just going to showcase it here, but it looks better on the All-22 anyway. At the bottom of the screen, you have the short in motion, and you're going to see it's a cover 3 look, but at the top of the screen, they're going to match up. Both receivers essentially release vertical. First off, the outside releases vertical. So now that outside third corner is going to match that release vertical. Then in the slot, the Lions try to get kind of this delay, like look like an out route, and then they're going to break it into this wheel route. Now the cornerback, you're going to notice he peeks to the quarterback. And in this play, this is a situation where you would hope to get that shot over top with a single high safety and create some space as he breaks up field. The receiver knows he's run that route. The cornerback does not. And he no longer has help because the outside receiver release vertical, but he does a nice job sticking with it. And you definitely would like to see Drummond come up with a catch like this, but he does seemingly have at least half a step. Now, he doesn't accelerate and create tons of separation. He doesn't have that kind of speed, but he does have a little bit of a step. So when you talk about maybe timing in terms of landmarks, if this ball is more on a rope and it's towards and it hits almost a sideline where you can basically lead Drummond into it, that may give him a better opportunity because this high pass essentially pulled him back to the defender and it forced him to try to high point on the defender. He could have made the grab for sure, but But this is also an occasion where maybe you say, okay, the timing or the landmark isn't great here in terms of this throw with the receiver, or maybe even a back shoulder works in the spot. Regardless, that is some of the plays that I wanted to showcase there from Teddy Bridgewater in this game. And like I said, you could argue some of the passes were slightly off in terms of accuracy. Today, I thought, or this game, I thought the biggest thing was just like pre-snap awareness, decision making. Those things were good. The rest of it, he's a pretty accurate passer, especially when you talk about underneath, those kind of things. We saw some of that. So I don't have like too many concerns about it. You're going to get missed passes. That's definitely going to happen. But I thought biggest thing was decision making for me. And if you have that, especially when there's pressure, there's heat on you, and you're not just throwing it at the defense, right? It's different when you get fooled and they show blitz and they drop out and you throw it and you're like, ah, dang, that wasn't there. It's different than if there's heat and you just feel that and you panic and you throw the ball. That's a whole different situation. He didn't panic. He was calm. He was calm under pressure, and he still worked through his progression, stayed on schedule, which is going to be very important, as we know, within this offense, all the timing. And, we talk about timing based. Well, there you go. So those are some of the plays I want to showcase. I thought it was a fine day for Bridgewater. It just wasn't great overall as an offense because, we had a lot of things go poorly, and obviously we didn't block extremely well either. But regardless, we talked about that a little bit in the last video. I'll leave it right there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
I want to give a shout out to our partner for this football season, BetUS. You can use that top link in the description, or betus.com/DoseOfDion. Again, a $100 deposit, you can get a 125% match. And if you look right now on their website, man, they're having some deals going on for their 30th football season. So shout out to them. You can see it on the screen. It's an easy setup. And let me know if you sign up there, man. They'll be with us this season. Shout out to them, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.